Good morning, traders. I am Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Friday, June 7th. We close out the first week of trading in June today after markets stalled yesterday. Stocks ended mixed, but essentially flat. The Dow added 78 points or 0.2%. The S&P 500 lost 1 point or 0.02%. The Nasdaq gave up 14 points or 0.09%. Bill, let's get into Friday with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes. Good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We are showing a little positive action. I mean, it's up 0.06, but it essentially is flat. It's been flat all morning and really non-directional. But I mean, it does seem to be ticking higher, so that's good. Listen, we all know what today is. Today is the first Friday of the month, and that means we get the non-farms payroll report, and that's really going to be the key factor for determining the market's direction for today. In other news, these meme stocks are moving again. You see GameStop just rallying. They released earnings, but they said that they're going to be, that we're, I guess, better than expected, but they're going to be doing some more stock sales. It seems like so the stock was up 20%, and now it's down 13%. You're looking at, some earnings, DoCu and Val Mountain Resorts. They really did fail to impress with their results last night. Microsoft, the FTC is really on them for that deal with Inflection AI. They're looking to see how it was structured and to see what was going on. They want to see the back details of it. So they're out there with their subpoenas. In Europe this morning, let's take a quick peek at what's going on in Europe this morning. I mean, Europe is suffering a little bit of a hangover right now because they ran up in anticipation of that ECB rate cut, and they did get it. And the language was hawkish, which is kind of what I expected. I kind of felt that was going to happen because the way the ECB officials were saying was like it's going to be one cut in rate, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to wait now for the data to come in. They said they're going to be very data dependent. You look at the DAX this morning; it's down 169 points. That's 0.9%. You get the FTSE down 45 points. That's half a 1%, 0.55% lower. You get the CAC is down 73 points. It's down 0.9% as well. So you look at the other data like the EU retail sales data came in a little weak. And France had their trade data that came out, which was what was their trade data? Their trade deficit. The country's trade deficit increased in April, which that's not really positive. Exports from Germany grew by 1.6% month over month to a 14-month high. In the UK, British housing prices edged down 0.1%. I'm not really too worried about that. Then you look over in Asia, what happened in Asia last night, and you saw that the Nikkei fell. It fell 19 points. It's 0.05%. That's nothing. The key factors is a Bank of Japan meeting next week. Hong Kong fell 109 points at 0.59%. The fact is they're showing some concerns about the pending economic data releases. And there's also a report that U.S. lawmakers are proposing a ban on Chinese battery firms, which is causing a little bit of caution. China's Shanghai market, finished ticking higher, up 0.08%. The big news came out about their trade data. It increased 7.6% year over year. Expectations were for 5%. So, that was kind of positive. And then we're keeping an eye on oil because oil has been moving as of late, and oil is trading higher this morning. Oil is up 0.7% WTI. It's at $76.08 a barrel, whereas in Brent's at $80.33 a barrel. You got that Baker Hughes data coming out later today. That's something to keep an eye on. Then you had those commentaries from the Saudi officials, which basically said, hey, guys, we're going to be able to support prices because we have, the ability to halt or reverse any output increases, as oil price, that kind of stabilized oil prices. So while that report last week was a little bit cautionary for the markets, OPEC officials are saying they have the ability to turn the key back at any time. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, as you mentioned, eyes are on that non-farm payrolls this morning, which could create some movement in the markets. But as we hear from your opening, you're keeping track of a lot of other information. You're not just keeping track of that. You're looking at things like earnings action, the other market moving economic events, and of course, different news and headlines coming out of different sectors and segments. And you are following all of that using your NewsWare. And we're going to get to it on today's show. We're going to start with earnings action. Bill, give us a rundown of what we should be watching when it comes to earnings.
Let's talk about what happened last night. We had Braze, ticker BRZE. Boy, Richard Zebra Edward, they beat by 5 cents, and they did it on a higher revenue. That stock's up a little over 15% this morning. We got Vail Mountain Resorts, ticker MTN. Michael, Tom, Nancy, they missed by 43 cents on lower revenue. I mentioned yesterday I didn't like this one. It just didn't look good. The stock's down 7.28% this morning. DocuSign, ticker DOCU, David, Oscar, Charlie, Uncle, they beat by 3 cents. They did it on higher revenue. Yeah, but his stock's down 6.96%. And Samsara, ticker IoT, listen, they beat by 2 cents. They did it on higher revenue. I saw some positive action. It's now trading lower, but that was a good one yesterday. Upcoming, next week, you got the big ones next week really are Oracle and Broadcom, which are releasing. But Monday you got I think Triple D, 3D Systems, DDD, they're going to be releasing, I think, Monday afternoon, expecting a loss of 7 cents, expecting move is 16.83%, and YEXT, Yellow, Edward, X-Ray, Tom, they're also releasing Monday afternoon. Their EPS is 6 cents, expected move is 13.43% when they release on Monday. But it's really light on the earnings front right now, Emily.
Even if it is light, I want to point out that Samsara was your pick of the day yesterday. And by the end of the show, we're going to ask you how that went. So stick with us until the end. Now for the economic events of the day, you've already mentioned the non-farm payrolls, as have I, along with that Baker Hughes rig count. But give us a look at everything we should be watching when it comes to economic events.
Okay, listen, 8:30 a.m. we get the non-farm payrolls report. 10 a.m. you get wholesale inventories. 1 p.m. you get the Baker Hughes rig count. And I think that Lisa Cook, the Fed Governor Lisa Cook, is going to be speaking today at 12. I got to figure if that's true or not, because they are in a blackout period, so that's would be rather unusual. You look at the non-farm payrolls estimates, the latest estimates are calling for plus 190K job gains. That's higher than last month's figure of 175K. So we'll have to, see how it comes in 1 hour before the opening bell. Yeah, let's just recap yesterday. The European Central Bank, the ECB, reduced interest rates by 25 basis points, but they're not going to commit on a particular path of interest rates. They mentioned that they're going to be data dependent and make future rate decisions based on the most recent economic readings. They'd also mentioned that they see inflation at 2.8% this year, 2.2 in 2025, and not hitting 2% until 2026. So, those statements are somewhat hawkish. So, I'm not surprised we're seeing a little weakness today now that they've really gone through that report. But that's what I have for in terms of an economic update, Emily.
Bill, and as that information comes out, especially that non-farm payrolls, you'll be the first to see it because you have your NewsWare, you have it set up for those economic reports and events, and you're also looking at other things this morning like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, other catalysts. As you do every morning, you group stocks together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks to really catch trends on the trading day. So Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
I'm looking at my Dow stocks showing 19 higher and 11 lower. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. I'm seeing some weakness in Tesla, but everything else is higher, so it's positive for a good opening. But realistically, everything can change when that non-farm payrolls report comes out, because that could turn a red screen green or a green screen red in a matter of moments. Some of the news behind it, like in the FANG stocks, you're looking at Apple. They got that. That worldwide developers event next week. That's always a big one for them. It looks like they're planning to unveil a password manager at that WWDC event. Amazon, ticker AMZN, they're going to be acquiring key assets of streaming service MX Player. Meta Platforms, they have a conference going on this morning, I see, and they apparently they announced that they're going to allow chat bots on WhatsApp. Netflix, hey, I mentioned Netflix had their shareholders meeting yesterday. It was last night at 6 p.m. and they recommended to refresh executive pay plan at that meeting. Looking at Dow stocks, Microsoft, the latest AI deal with Inflection AI has sparked an FTC probe. Not good for Microsoft. Let's see what else we got here. Amgen trading higher this morning. They got that Goldman Sachs Health Conference on Monday. That's interesting. Merger news, Alibaba. Well, they just cut their stake in Singapore Post to 11.34%. It used to be 14.56%. In terms of guidance news, we're talking DocuSign, ticker DOCU. They see Q2 revenue coming in 725 to 726. Street estimates 726. So you're not good. It's okay. 725 to 729. They're coming in 726. It's all right. QGen, ticker QGEN, Quinton, Grace, Edward, Nancy, they raised their full year 2024 EPS view to $2.14. Street estimates 210. Shareholders meeting. Google is having a shareholders meeting today at noon. That's something to keep an eye on. DocuSign, said that they're going to increase their share buybacks by $1 billion. DOCU. In terms of catalyst calls, Park Hotels, ticker PK, Paul Kilo. Citibank opened up as a 90-day negative catalyst watch on the stock, ticker PK, Paul Kilo. That's what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional NewsWire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what do you have for us to end this week?
There's no real good earnings coming out this afternoon or Monday morning that I like, or Tuesday really. So I'm gonna do a play on that Amgen, ticker AMGN, Apple, Michael, Grace, Nancy. I mean, they got that big Goldman conference coming on, and they're going to be speaking at 9:20 on Monday morning, and they're going to be saying some positive stuff. So I think it could be, the type of event that will be able to push that market higher if I can get in at the right price. Now I look at yesterday's call volume, 34.90 to 36.97. That's not positive, but it's kind of even, so I'm okay with it. Open interest is higher on the call side, 98,747 versus 95,269. Okay, major brokers do like the stock. I see price targets going up. That's rather positive. But the real key here is the entry price. You look at Amgen, 306.39 to 307.42. Honestly, I want to get in 304.50. That's kind of where I want to get in. If I can get in at 304.50, I think this will be a good winner for Monday morning. So I'm gonna kind of bite my tongue here and wait, and I might not get this trade off it, because it might not hit. That non-farm payrolls report is everything. So I'm trying to judge in the non-farm payrolls report, which is always difficult. So that's my pick of the day. Amgen, ticker AMGN, Apple, Grace, Nancy, Michael at 34.50. Emily.
Bill, putting the pieces of the puzzle together this morning to see if you can get a win in Amgen, that entry price. The conference on Monday morning, we will follow that along with you. And coming up before we sign off for the weekend, we will do that recap on yesterday's pick of the day, as I promised. So stay with us. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Okay, what do we see here? ODD, Oddity, Oscar, David, they announced 150 million share buyback. United Airlines, ticker UAL, launches airline's first media network. That's interesting. United Airlines begins showing targeted ads on passenger seat back screens. Makes sense. GameStop falls after announcing plans to sell up to 75 million shares. Yeah, there we go. Oracle, VA health software scores poorly on internal report. Oracle's earnings are out next week. Microsoft is said to be doubling down on Game Pass at Xbox Showcase with their Call of Duty title. Google, a judge in San Francisco, agreed to dismiss a proposed claim over its alleged misuse of personal copyrighted data to train AI systems. Walmart paper shelf pricing labels are going away at thousands of Walmart stores. Probably positive. See, Casey Stores is going to be releasing Tuesday afternoon earnings. Could move $18 on that release. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we dive into trading on this Friday, let's do a quick check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which I mentioned earlier in the show was Sarah. They did release earnings after the bell. Yesterday, as you told us, they reported an EPS of 3 cents per share, and that was above the consensus of 1 cent per share. Revenue for the quarter came in at $280.7 million. That was up 37% from a year earlier and ahead of estimates of $272 million as expected. So they did offer a beat, but the stock took a bit of a hit yesterday after those earnings, but you were trading this one leading up to those earnings. How did your call work out?
They worked out great. I mean, if you looked at it, if you remember, that stock was trading like 34, 25 in the pre-market yesterday, and I came out there and I said, listen, 34.80 is kind of like when my target price that I'm looking for. Well, right after the open, what did it fall to? It fell down to 33.70. So there was your opportunity. It just dropped, and 30, if you got in at 34.80, you did good, because next thing you know, it's trading 34.94. I mean, it's up over $1. That's like 3%. After the bell, I actually saw it hit 36.21, 36.21. So you went from 33.80 all the way up to 36. I mean, that was huge. And then it started to get weak, and they did deliver a beat. It wasn't a bad report, but there's a couple opportunities there for that 1% gain. So IoT was a winner yesterday, any way you look at it, Emily.
That was another win there, Bill, and we will check in with you on Monday about today's Amgen pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here Monday and each weekday morning next week at NewsWare's Trade Talk, when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.